brought to you by Joshua LaFon with Simply Vegas Real Estate, a realtor here to help educate current and future Las Vegas locals on selling and investing in real estate. You're probably asking yourself, educate. Yes, there's a surprising amount of adults that when it comes to real estate, don't know the right questions to ask, don't know where to start, and think they need a lot of cash to buy a house in Nevada, which simply isn't true. So Josh has decided to make it his responsibility to teach his clients what they need to know, and equally important, what they need to ask to help ensure making their homeownership dreams a true reality. So make sure you call or text Joshua LaFon today at 702-813-0533. This has been another paid advertisement from Joshua LaFon with Simply Vegas Real Estate. Make sure you give him a call, 702-813-0533.
Like we always do about this time.
James Russell, you hustling son of a...
It's me, your daddy, Roberto.
Me a boy's name that starts with the letter H. Jose.
Now look at me now. How far we go back? Elementary, jump rope, hide and go seek, pity pat, red light, green light, red light, green light.
When you just talk about practice, we sitting here, I supposed to be the franchise player, and we're in here talking about practice. About practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice. We talking about practice, man. But we talking about practice right now. We talking about
You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game.
You are tuned into Straight Bet Sports on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network.
That's right, Wednesday night, just past 7:30. New time here on Gorilla Cross Radio Network. You are tuned into another episode of Straight Bet Sports, episode 61 here on season 3. We greatly appreciate you guys joining us as you have been doing for the last year here on Gorilla Cross Radio. Quan59 behind the big board doing what he does for us every single night. We are coming to you live from downtown Las Vegas, Nevada. If you're watching this tonight, we are live on GorillaCross.com, the Gorilla Cross app, YouTube page, the Facebook page, and the Twitter page, and they're all being shared on my page. Of course, you can see the Twitter handle right down there. Jose Volonte, also on Facebook, and our Straight Bet Sports page on Facebook as well. I got my co-host back in the studio this week because he was MIA last week because he forgot we had a time change on the show. But Rob, welcome back. How you doing, my man?
I'm good. New time, new seat.
New seat just
new
for today.
Look. Yeah, little look. No, it's fine.
Letting the
I'm glad to be
off.
back. I'm glad to make it on time.
But you're going to be on time every week now?
I don't know. It was tough. I showed up like, 5 minutes before showtime?
You looked a little tired, too.
I am a little
Quan
tired.
was asking, is Rob going to show up?
Right now.
I don't know if he's going to make it. But
I'm
no,
here.
man, we got a fun show on tap for you guys tonight. We also got a new sponsor as well before we get to our guest, which is our sponsor is none other than our personal barber. You already know that. Eric Navarro. I haven't got a haircut because I've
Stepping
been
in.
busy. But if you guys want to check him out, Eric Navarro from Line 'em Up by Eric. He's on IG at Line 'em Up by Eric, as you see there on the screen. LINEEMUPBYERK. Check him out, 702-884-8138. He's out of 5 Star Barbershop over on 2696 West End Road, Suite 107. So make sure you hit up Eric. If you're ever trying to get a cut, your beard set up, or it's the weekend, you got a job interview, whatever it may be, hit him up. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. He's riding with us for season 3, so we greatly appreciate him, as we appreciate Joshua LaFon for riding with us for the first 2 seasons, right, my man? We both know
Absolutely.
Josh is a good friend of ours, so
Yep.
it's good to have family basically part of the show. You know what I mean? But
Exactly.
you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
We got a fun guest in the studio tonight.
Yes, sir.
Someone that I've known for a few years since I got into this media business. He's always giving me the time of day. You know, he likes to eat, which we're also going to talk about that, which is crazy because you look at him and he's skinny. It's crazy. But let's
Yeah, I
jump
need to
right
know
into
that.
it. TC Martin from the TC Martin Show, the doctor. I want to know about that as well, but none other than TC Martin. And the voice of the Las Vegas Aces out here in Las Vegas as well.
Jose V. Rob G. Great to be with you guys, man.
How's everything going? You
Everything's
good?
great. Everything's good.
A little
Just-
tired? I know you said you were talking a lot. You already had your show earlier tonight.
Yeah. That's okay, man. Always got time for you, man. I appreciate it. And it's nice to kind of be on this side for a change, too. Not having to drive things. I can just kind of chill, relax, react. I like
React,
this.
answer the
Yeah.
questions,
Fire it
conversate,
away.
have a good
Let's
time.
go. Yeah.
So TC, I've always wanted to have you on the show because you've been doing this radio stuff forever. And not only that, you've done more than just sports. And if you guys follow TC, you're a baseball guy, you like baseball as well. Guess who one of his good friends is? The manager of the team that the Dodger fans hate.
I almost wore my hat tonight too.
Dusty Baker.
That's right.
Oh,
He's
Dusty.
very good friends with Dusty Baker,
that's
which is pretty
awesome.
cool. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure those conversations are amazing when you guys talk baseball. But before you got here tonight, what was the pregame meal? Because like I said, this man likes to eat, if you guys do not know. I drove by a Freddy's today. I was in Henderson doing some work, and I remembered of you. I'm like, it's either Freddy's or whenever I go to Casa Don Juan
Yes.
or Lindo, Michoacan,
Yeah.
whatever it may be, I always think of TC because he's always posting the pictures of what he eats, right? He's always eating.
There
So
it
what
is.
was the pregame meal tonight,
Okay,
TC?
so honestly, here it is. Yeah, I had no pregame meal. We're going postgame meal tonight.
Okay.
Nice.
So here's the deal. I had to go pregame to get fueled up for my show at
Okay.
2 o'clock. Freddy's, of
Okay.
course. The Chicago Dog special today. I had to go with that.
Okay.
The fries were outstanding with the seasoned salt. Just Freddy's fantastic, as you know, my friend. And tonight, postgame, I was thinking, where am I going to go? And you probably mentioned, I'm probably going to end up at Lindo. And I
Okay.
may end up at this one since we're out here. I usually
Okay.
go to the one in Henderson, which I really like.
Okay,
But, yeah, I got the
That's
rotation
Desert
going.
Inn, right? That's one on. it's
Yeah,
on
the
Yeah,
one
I
on Villa.
rarely go out there. I rarely go
Desert-
out there. But
yeah.
I'm kind of rotating between Casa, Lindo, and Juan's Flame and Fajitas. So
Okay.
that's the rotation. So
And the Freddy's is on what? Silverado? Is that or is that one in Hendo, right?
they got several. They got 4 locations.
Oh,
But
do they
I went
really?
to the newer
That's
one.
out here?
That's the only one
I
I
went
know
to
of.
the newer one
Okay.
today, which you guys got to check out on Rainbow and Russell.
Okay.
That's the new
Okay.
one. So check it out.
Rainbow and Russell,
Go ahead, drop
okay.
my name. They'll take care of you.
Okay. TC Martin sent us, so he's gonna hook us up. So aside from Vegas eats, though, I've seen when you go out of town. Have you always been a food aficionado? Because I see that you're always posting about food, and it's always something different.
You know, it's funny because I've always loved my food, but I was never one of those guys that posted until it became kind of a joke when I started going out to all these restaurants. And then people say, hey, you should post that, this and that. I go, nah, I'm not one of those guys. And then one time I did it. And then I got a lot of flack from my family. So it became kind of a little challenge, a little routine. And they go, we stop, we'd like to eat. I mean, and it became worse over the years where I got to really line it up and this and that. And they'll say, oh, you're Ansel Adams, Picasso. What are you doing? You're trying to, I go, I don't know. So
Gotta get the
let's-
perfect picture.
Yeah. So I go, let's put this to a test. And I said, let's throw it out to social media. If people really don't like this, like my family says they don't, then I'll quit doing it. Well, you know what the answer was? Resoundingly, yes, post these pictures more and more. So it just kind of became a thing or a habit now. And now,
Is it every time you eat?
Not every time, because like I said, Jose knows I'm a
Except at
creature.
home, of course, but-
I'm a creature of habit. So I go to a lot of the places. So I'm not going to post like Freddy's every
same.
other day,
Oh, okay.
that sort of thing. I said, hey, I got stock photos here. But like a good buddy of mine who does broadcasting for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he's coming out here at the end of the month, and so hooked him up at the Cosmopolitan, this and that, and he goes, we're coming to the Cosmopolitan because we've seen all your food posts and we know you do the show out there. So I get a call from one of the casino hosts and they go, man, we really want to thank you. I go, for what? He goes, hook up your Tampa Bay Buccaneers buddy. He said, he's coming out because of you and the food. so there it is, like that.
You know what's funny? The last time my in-laws were in town, not this weekend, previous, we went to Casa Don Juan. And I took a picture, as I do every time I go to a restaurant that I know that eats, and I sent it to him. And he's like, where you at? He was at the other Casa Don Juan across
yeah.
town at the
At the
same
same
time.
time.
thinking that I'm
I'm
there.
looking for him. Said, "Are you here?" I actually got up and left my seat, and I did a lap around the restaurant.
Oh, my
Jose, where you at?
And I hit him up. I'm like, no, I'm in the one over here off of Main. He's like, oh, I'm way over here. But have you been there?
Yeah, not the one in Hendo, but I've been to the
good
one
food
on
there.
Main Street. Yeah.
Good eats. So TC, like I said, you've been doing this for a long time. But aside from the sports that everybody knows you a lot for out here in Las Vegas, how did you start in this business, and where exactly did you start? Because I'm sure you're not from Vegas, right? You're from California?
Sacramento.
Sacramento, okay.
Originally Sacramento. Started DJing when I was a very young age.
Okay.
And, was one of those guys when I was 11, 12 years old, hanging out at radio stations
that's
and
awesome.
just, falling in love, with the music. Where I've always loved music. I mean, sports and music has always been my life.
Okay.
And so I started DJing, actually, my own high school dances when I was in high school.
Okay.
And that's how it all started. And, I was always an R&B guy, at that point in time, pop R&B, really into the 70s and 80s funk. And that's, what kind of led to that. And then one thing led to another. Then after DJing high school dances, I actually picked up an agent who started booking me to do parties and that sort of thing.
Okay.
And then I went to college for communications in Sacramento. Actually, it was a junior college, Casunas River College, one of the top communication schools in the country.
Okay.
Then went over to Sac State, and so I was in the mode in that music mode, And I was a program director of our campus radio station in my first year in college, and that just kind of propelled me working in nightclubs. So once I
Okay.
became 21, then I started working the nightclub scene, and that led to me becoming a concert promoter. Because
Really?
yeah. So going, from there and doing a variety of different clubs and different formats. I did all kinds of formats, but always had that love for the R&B, which is now the old school.
Correct.
And I've been a
Still the
concert
good
promoter for many, many years, and have worked with just about every artist that you can think of, the old school R&B artists from the
Nice.
80s and the 90s. Yeah.
Once again, you're tuning to Straight Bet Sports here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. Jose V, Rob G, Quan 59 behind the big board as always. Our special guest in the studio tonight, he is none other than the Dr. TC Martin. So let's get to that. Where did that nickname come from?
Okay, so a lot of people here in Vegas may be familiar with Joe Chevalier. He used to go by Papa Joe.
Okay.
So when I was in Sacramento, I had heard his show. It was piped into Sacramento. It was on the Sports Radio Network, and I called in when I heard all these people making their picks and their selections. It was like on a Friday, hey, call in with your 3 best picks and this that. And I'm hearing these yahoos, and I'm going like, yeah, well, what is this? And a couple of guys had nicknames and this and that. So I called in. They go, who's calling? And I don't know what, it just came to me. I said, this is the Doctor, because that was a name that buddies of mine, we would always play basketball, and
Okay.
Julius Erving obviously was kind of an idol. And so I said, there was the Doctor. And that's what started. So I called in the show, put me on the air, went 3 for 3 that week. They go, we got to have you back. Next thing, 3 for 3 the next week, and became a regular on the show. They invited me to come out to Vegas to do a guest appearance with me and Joe Chevalier. And I'll never forget it. It was the Gold Coast. It was a meet and greet. And so I said, I got to play up this Doctor gimmick. So I went the whole
whole
nine.
9 yards.
I went the Doctor's greens. I had this and
Love
that, and even took it to another level. Went top hat, cane, that sort of thing. And I didn't know what to expect. So I walk in the Gold Coast one day, and there's about 200 people that were listeners of the show, and they wanted to meet the Doctor.
And now you're like,
And- yeah. And that's how that started. And I was doing radio, in Sacramento as well. And then when I got here, they offered me a job, network radio. And then that's how my career started in 1992. And that's how the Doctor was born. So therefore, every guest appearance that I would do, or any show that I would do, I would go ahead and dress up as the Doctor. I was known as the Doctor. They really didn't even know T.C. Martin at that point in time. It was pretty much, the Doctor's Office was the name of the show. Yeah, and
okay.
then
Sports related, though, right?
Yeah, totally.
Okay,
Totally,
okay.
because this was all sports talk
Okay.
radio. Yeah. So
but he's dissecting everything.
Right.
dissecting it. Exactly. This is your diagnosis. This is your prescription. Get your prescription from the Doctor. So then
There you go.
it got to be so popular. I said, I need some nurses. So
Okay. This is getting interesting.
So I went to a hospital, picked up a couple nurses who looked pretty fine. I said, "How'd you like to escort me to a fight? How'd you like to escort me to a remote show?" And I remember I was in the Stardust handicapping contest way back in the day, and rolled out the red carpet, and here come the nurses, and then the rest just kind of blew up from there.
Interesting. Great story.
It was marketing. You always got to self-market,
Yeah,
as you
absolutely.
know. And when we're in business, you got to do that. But again, it was one of those things that kind of, took a life of its own, and it was just a lot of fun doing that. So
And you're right when it comes to the self-marketing. That's one thing that I've learned since I've been doing this, that if you don't talk about what you're doing outside of it, when you're not in the studio, no one's going to care. You need to promote it my wife calls me crazy because my daughter, she loves wearing her Straight Bet sports shirt. She has one just like that. I wear mine all the time as well when we go out. She's like, you don't have anything else to wear? I'm like, majority of my hats say Straight Bet Sports on. Like, you have to self-promote yourself because more people will get to know you and your brand is going to grow a lot more. And you're a living proof of that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny. Well, during those times, we started a softball team at our radio station there, and basically it was called the Doc's Showtime because the Showtime theme and all that sort.
Okay.
And our uniforms were the Doctor smocks.
Okay.
That was it. And talk about promoting. Everyone had their nickname on the back.
And that was your jerseys.
That was our jerseys. Exactly. Had
That's
the numbers on the front. The Doc Showtime. And then everyone had nicknames, and we would travel around, and again, it was promoting the radio show, promoting the radio station, and the brand and everything. But again, that was before social media. There was no social media. There, none of that stuff. But it's totally different. But again, it was kind of a gimmick, but it was fun, lighthearted. People loved it, picked up on it, and and it was cool. But again, you still had to talk sports. I was on a sports, sports network that carried the show that over 100 affiliate stations and that sort of thing. And then
this was in Sacramento.
This was here.
This was already here.
So I moved to Las Vegas in 1992.
Okay, got it.
And so I was here from 92 to 98. Worked with 3 different networks during that time because networks kind of folded at that point in time. And also did local radio, at that point in time as well too. And then 98 went back to Sacramento, got a job offer in my hometown at the Sacramento Kings station.
Okay.
So that was cool. And then, in this business, you do travel around because, you do get other job offers or
Correct.
jobs fall out. It's just the nature of the business. And then I got an opportunity to get a job in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and which kind of led to me doing a remote there for a Packers Chicago game while I was working in Sacramento. I had, always gone back to Green Bay. I was always a Packer fan.
Okay.
And I was fortunate enough to be able to get tickets now and then, which was a hard ticket, at Lambeau
course,
Field, as you know.
always.
And then so I told the program director, I said, I'm planning on going back for this Bears-Packers game. I said, what do you think about if I do like my Friday show, in Green Bay, maybe at Lambeau Field or somewhere? They go, man, if you can work that out, go ahead. So I made some phone calls to a couple of radio stations in Green Bay, and lo and behold, they said, how would you like to do your show at Brett Favre Steakhouse? So I did my show at Brett Favre Steakhouse that was aired back in Sacramento.
Nice.
And next thing you know, guys are hanging out in the bar. Guy comes up to me and says, hey, he goes, I really like your show, man. I really like your style and everything. He goes, would you ever consider moving to Green Bay? And I go, well, I don't know. Well, he was the program director of the Packers flagship station in Green Bay. So we exchanged cards, didn't think anything of it. 3 months later, he goes, hey, I got an opening. He goes, you're my guy. So at that point in time, it was a good time. It was 2003, thinking about, okay, things aren't really going well in California from a living perspective and everything. And I said, where else can I get this opportunity to work in Green Bay with the Green Bay Packers and, do the games, do my daily sports talk show? So I took that opportunity. I was there for 12 years.
So wasn't that the year they drafted Aaron Rodgers? You said 2003?
Yeah. Rodgers was 2004, 2005. Yeah.
2000, 'cause he's been in the league 17 years. So probably 2005.
2000, I think it was. Yeah. He's 16 years in the league. So yeah.
Interesting. Man, so you've been everywhere. Cali, obviously where you're from, Vegas, Green Bay, which is across
You
country.
lived in Green Bay for 12 years.
Yeah.
No. For 12 years, you said?
Yeah,
You
2003 to 2015.
Okay. Wow.
And I came back here to Vegas in 2015 and, got the job here and been here since. And I always knew that I would probably return to Vegas because I love Vegas. I mean,
It's
just
hard to stay away.
Yeah.
How'd you gamble?
Were you a gambler at all?
That's funny. I've always been a sports gambler and, I've done sports handicapping and had services, way back in the day and that sort of thing. I like the blackjack and that sort of thing. But one thing that you learn, after you're here for a few months, you kind of become immune to that. And it's kind of the thing to do when you first move here. You get into it and this and that. And like, hey, we're going to dinner tonight. And always going to dinners and casinos.
Correct.
And it's like, okay, put a 20 on the blackjack table. That's it,
Yeah.
Paying for dinner or we're
You're
not
right.
paying for dinner. It was one of those things. But, after a while, you become so busy with everything else. You just kind of like, you shy away from it, But I've continued to bet sports, but have not played a table game probably in years. Yeah.
Have you been in any of the tournaments that they do, like Superbooks or anything like that, when they do the handicap tournaments for football season and stuff like that?
Not on a regular basis, but I have been in years past. Since I moved back here, I haven't, but it's something that's always interests me. But I do all kinds of other stuff as well.
What do you like to bet when you do bet? What's your sport more than anything that you would say you like to bet more than anything?
You know what? I am a seasonal guy, and that's the way, my show comes across that way. People always ask me that. Like, well, what do you feel more comfortable talking about? And it's like, Green Bay, you had to talk the Packers, basically 24/7. But, we were also the affiliate, flagship station for the Milwaukee Brewers. And
so it was a lot more than just
it was everything.
the football.
Yeah. So with the Milwaukee Bucks and then University of Wisconsin and all that stuff as well, too. So, we did everything. I've always been a boxing guy. I mean, that goes back to 1992 when, I hooked up with Bob Arum and Top Rank because, doing my show here in Las Vegas, they would invite me to the fights and I became a big boxing fan as well. And then that later led to me even managing fighters and doing ring announcing and that sort of thing. So it's a wide resume. We probably don't have enough time to get into all
You've
of
had
that.
Bob on your show, haven't you, in the past, right?
Yeah.
And also, I know you're good friends with
Bob
Sean
will be
Porter
coming
as
on
well.
again tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
All right.
tune in tomorrow.
Tune in tomorrow.
Let them know where, just so that's going to be a good interview.
Yeah.
Let everybody
Yeah.
know where they can tune in
Yeah.
tomorrow for the show, TC.
You can always listen at tcmartinshow.com live 2 to 4 Pacific. If you're local in Las Vegas, it's AM 1400, but everything is streamed live at tcmartinshow.com.
There you go. Make sure you check out the website. It's going to be a good interview as always. Now, we're talking about people you know now, obviously. So my question is, how did you end up meeting Dusty Baker, manager of the now Houston Astros? How did that friendship come about? And what are those conversations like? I mean, because not only do you talk to him, you hang out with the guy. Like, I've seen your Facebook stuff. It's not just that you saw him somewhere and took a picture. You guys are hanging out. Like, how did that relationship come to be?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I before I came here tonight, I just booked my flight to Houston, so I'm going to spend a week with him the first week in August.
Okay.
And that's something I traditionally do. So Dusty and I first met each other when I was doing radio in Sacramento, and he was managing the San Francisco Giants.
Okay.
So he would do a regular spot every week, because Sacramento carried the Giants games and big.
Anything from the Bay Area.
Yeah, right there, exactly. So we struck up a little bit of a friendship at that point in time. Then I quickly moved to Green Bay, and then he got the job with the Cubs. And I was always like a Cubs fan. I said, man, this kind of cool. So kind of a funny story how we kind of reconnected. But I reached out to him about going to a game, a Cubs Red Sox game when they first started interleague play in Green Bay, and it was like, wow. So a buddy of mine who I was working with actually was from San Francisco, and I said, I got to get over to Wrigley Field and got to go see Dusty. And he goes, oh, you know Dusty? I said, yeah, but it's been a while since we've connected. It's been a long time. And he goes, I know Dusty and this and that. I'll hook you up with tickets. And this guy was a former football player, played with the 49ers.
Okay.
And I said, okay, well, that's all good. And then so as the weekend approached, I said, am I good? We good with tickets and everything? He goes, oh yeah, you're good. Just go show up. So sure enough, I go to the box office. There's no tickets there. No tickets there whatsoever. I'm like, oh, what the heck happened here? And this guy, we did a radio show together, former football player, and I'm going like,
did me wrong.
would he dupe me like that?
Setup.
Yeah. So
Setup.
So it really wasn't a setup. It was just that I found out later he didn't get a hold of Dusty. So I go up to the box office, and again, this is Cubs Red Sox interleague
It's not just
play.
any other game.
Yeah, exactly. And in the middle of the summer, your Fox game of the week. And they go, we're sorry. And I said, man, this is messed up. So I didn't have a number for Dusty or anything at that time. So the lady took my name and she goes, I said, Dusty's supposed to leave tickets. Well, can you just hang tight? I'll call down the clubhouse, see if I can get him, but I don't know what's going to happen. So sure enough, so a buddy of mine's with me, and go across the street. If you've ever been to Wrigley Field, they got a McDonald's, they got a Taco Bell, that sort of thing. My buddy goes over to Taco Bell, and so I come back to the box office. I said, did he contact? He goes, well, here, give me your number. I'll see if I can do something. So we're ready to just head back to Green Bay. We're not going to this game.
It's
3
done.
minutes later, the phone rings and comes up. It says like no caller ID, right? I go, hello. He go, T. I go, yeah. He goes, Dusty here.
Oh,
Okay.
Nice.
Game time is at 1:20. My phone rings at 1:05.
Oh, no.
And this is Dusty calling me from the clubhouse. He goes, what's up, man? I go, hey, man, it's been a while. This guy goes, where are you at? I go, I'm here. He goes, what do you mean you're here? And I go, and I won't mention this gentleman's name. I go, when was the last time you talked to this guy? He goes, you mean the guy who played with the 49ers? I goes, I haven't heard from that guy in about 5 years.
Oh, my God.
I go, he told me hooked up. He goes, hang on, man. He goes, don't move. He goes, I'll call you right back in 5 minutes. Hang back. We're at the Taco Bell across the street. He goes, boom, go to gate 12. I got you hooked up, man. I'll see you after the game as well, too. And that's how we reconnected.
So he
again.
remembered you.
He remembered, yeah. He remembered
awesome.
being on the show, this and that. And during that brief conversation, he goes, hey, man, you still in Satin? No, I'm in Green Bay now, this and that. Oh, I remember those days, this and that. Blah, blah. Oh, yeah, got to go to the game, man. Let's hook up afterwards. So we kind of reconnected, there. Then, again, being from Sacramento, Dusty was a key figure with me starting the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame.
Okay.
So I started that in 2013. And Sacramento never had a Hall of Fame. And I was kind of tired of, all these guys that I would interview and buddies of mine from all across the country. They would say, hey, I'm going to this Hall of Fame induction. I'm going to this and that. And I couldn't figure out why Sacramento didn't have it. Well, Kevin Johnson was the mayor at that time.
Okay.
So I knew KJ a little bit, and Dusty knew him very, very well. So I went back, one off season to baseball. I said, hey, man, I said, I'm really thinking about starting the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame, but I said, I really can't get it done without you. I said, you're in contact with a lot of the guys because Sacramento's such a baseball hotbed as well, too. And then he goes, no problem. I'll help you. And, just gave me some numbers of guys that I didn't have in this and that, and one thing just led to another. So he was part of our initial induction class of 2013, which featured Dusty Baker, Bill Cartwright, Kevin Johnson, Tony the Tiger Lopez, 3-time former world champ, and Summer Sanders, U.S.
Summer
gold
Sanders,
medalist. And so that was our first class. So now we're still going strong now, 9 years later.
So you founded the Sacramento
Sports Hall of Fame.
Sports Hall of Fame.
Yes. So that's why.
How long did you already have that idea in your mind?
About 3 or 4 years prior to that, just, because I would go to a lot of Hall of Fame, inductions, and like the Southern Nevada one out here. And I'm going like, we need to go into my hometown. And so, yeah, it was a lot of work. And it was, it's kind of like a one-man system, that sort of thing. But, then I got the athletes to buy into it. So you hear Bill Cartwright on with me. So Bill is like, Bill and I go way back. Dusty and I go way back. All these guys, and again, it's one of these things where you just build relationships.
Correct.
When you're in the business this long and you have these guests on, if you treat them right and they respect you, a lot of my relationships, started out as just interviews, business, but because of the camaraderie and everything, they've turned into friendships, in deep, lifelong friendships.
It goes back to your brand, just like you said. If you think about it, it connects back to that. You made such an impression on these individuals that Dusty Baker remembered who you were and gave you a phone call.
Right.
That's a great conversation piece to have, especially 15 minutes before a ball game in the dugout. That's insane in the clubhouse, but that's awesome. Now, you're also now here in Vegas, and you're the voice of the Las Vegas Aces. Aces have been fun since they've got here. You've been covering them since day one. So have I.
Yeah.
Jiggy, big shout out to Jiggy Maxwell. He's one of the best media guys in Vegas, even though Quan's still waiting for an email response from him. We talk about it.
We'll make sure we get that for you. No problem.
All right, we'll get that done. But how did that relationship come about? How did you get that gig?
So when I was, on the air, when the Aces, came to town, I was always been very involved in the community, whether it's been, UNLV or with the Golden Knights or whatever. Just, it's just throwing myself in there like that. And so they had made the announcement that they were coming to Las Vegas. And Jiggy, actually, they reached out to me at the radio station. They said, hey, how would you like to have Bill Laimbeer on? And I said, yeah, that would be, fantastic. And at this point in time, it was just, they just made the announcement. We're getting ready to make the announcement. So Bill came on my show and we talked about the Aces and everything of that nature. And then that kind of just, spurred another relationship. Yeah. And again, so they signed the deal, with our company that I was at. And I was approached by the president of our company. He said, hey, how would you like to be, the play-by-play voice of the Las Vegas Aces? He goes, I think that you would be, fantastic. And I said, I've always wanted to do play-by-play, but I never had the opportunity to do it because every market that I've been in, there was a guy doing it for 20 plus years. So going back to Sacramento, Gary Gerald, iconic. He's a Hall of Famer. He's been doing the Sacramento Kings. I go to Green Bay, Wayne Larrivee, who did the Bears and then the Packers. He was there. So I never had an opportunity to do play-by-play. And I said, well, this is an opportunity. And then so they said that, it's the Aces' decision. They'd like to, they already like you because they like coming on your show. So when they drafted Asia Wilson, they immediately brought Asia, into my studio. Yep. And then there was already this relationship. So they wanted me to give them an audition, which I really didn't have one. Gotcha. So I had to go do my own audition. And it was around the time that the WCC tournament was at the Orleans.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I called a Gonzaga Santa Clara game.
Really?
And that was like my demo tape.
Okay.
So I thought, okay,
demo tape.
So I thought this is going to be pretty good, right? Okay. But just, and I prepared a little bit and this and that. And I thought, okay, this is what. So then the president of our radio company says, hey, that's all good and fine and everything, but they'd like to hear you, call something like right now. Like, what do you mean? Like right now? Like, well, this is the NCAA tournament. Go home and call a game from your house. And I'm going like...
And record it and send it to us and let us know how it sounds.
Right. And I'm going like, well, there's not going to be any crowd noise. It's going to sound like I'm, in my office or, living room or something like that. And I go, this is the craziest thing. Is this like, is this real?
Test?
Is this a test or what it was, And so the next thing I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So so I said, hey, I already had Gonzaga. I know that team pretty well already. And Gonzaga was playing Ohio State. I go, that's going to be my, my next demo, I guess, so to speak. And so I don't even know if they ended up listening to it or this and that. Who knows what? But then I get a phone call from Jiggy, and he says, "You're a guy."
Nice.
So that's how that all worked out. And it's going in year 4 right
Yep.
now, even though we didn't get a chance to broadcast the games last year because they were in the Wubble in Florida. But it's great to be back, and it's a great organization to be part of. And I've always been a fan of the WNBA because the Sacramento Monarchs, you going back to 1997 when the WNBA started, we're here at the 25th anniversary now, they were one of the original
team,
teams. So I got a chance to go to those games. One of those former players is in the Sacramento Sports Hall of Fame, Danielle Viglione.
Okay.
And she played with Ruthie Bolton Holyfield and people like that. So I've always been a fan, and I love the women's game as well. I love college basketball, of course, and I remember watching Asia when she was at South Carolina. And so it was just kind of a natural fit that, I kind of knew the game. I knew basketball. I used to coach basketball.
Gotcha.
So, you listen to my broadcast, I kind of give it from that little different perspective too, that, and I think that's not a lot of people have had that experience as a coach
Got it.
and as a play-by-play player,
So you have both of them.
Yeah.
And it's easier for you at
Because
that
as you know, the play-by-play guy usually just sets the table, and then the color commentator is usually a former player or former
Correct.
coach. So,
But you're doing it all by yourself.
yeah, and that's one of the reasons why they said, well, who's my partner going to be? They go, you don't need one.
All you have is the guy that's giving you the paper. That's it.
That's
it.
it. Yeah,
Literally.
yeah,
It's the
yeah.
dude. I don't know what his
Yeah.
name, but he had a ponytail, and that's it.
There you
It's the
go.
guy that gives you the paper.
That's my guy.
That's it.
There you go. Jazzy Jeff. There you go.
There you go. But you always got to have that guy, man, hook
Yeah.
you up. But it's awesome what you're doing, honestly, man. I listen to you when I wasn't able to go to the games during the first couple
appreciate
seasons. I used to always tell you, hey, I'm listening to you. I would tweet you
Yes,
out.
yes.
But not only that, you're growing more relationships. I'm pretty sure that Asia Wilson relationship has gotten great.
Oh, yeah.
MVP,
Oh,
probably future champ here in the, Hall of Famer for sure more than anything. You got coach on a bunch of times. So you're still growing those relationships, which is the best part about it. Because in this business, like you said, it's about growing those relationships. It's not about having friends or enemies. It's about it's not about having enemies, it's about having friends. It's about making the right connections, about networking and keeping those right people around you. And that's what I've learned as well, man. I mean, hey, you and I have been talking since that day. One of the biggest things that a lot of people don't know, and I got to give credit for myself. So TC went to one of the Golden Knights Stanley Cup Finals games, year 1. A gentleman that will stay unnamed grabbed 2 posters, the final 2, grabbed one for me. TC's like, hey, he's like, oh no, I told him I'd grab him one. About a year later, the first season of the Aces,
Right.
I walked up to TC right before we grabbed our credentials to go in. I'm like, here, man. He's like, what is this? He opens it. He's like, no, are you serious? I'm like, take it. You were there. I wasn't. You've been doing this longer than I have. And it was a Marc-Andre Fleury poster, I believe, as well. I could have kept it.
Yeah.
I
You
could
had
have
2.
kept that thing.
You only got 1.
But I gave it to TC because I was like, you know what? This is going to be a relationship that's going to grow, and it's something that's going to help me out. So
Gonna pay off in the long
exactly.
run.
So I was okay with it. I'm pretty sure you're enjoying that poster. You probably put up somewhere. but right, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but
Where is it?
where is
Where
it?
is it?
Exactly. I'm not sure where it is. I think I need to give it back to him because it'll probably be on his wall, no doubt about it. Yeah.
But yeah, man, a lot of fun stuff coming out here, man, especially in Vegas. Now it's growing. You know what I mean? It's now, in my opinion, the sports and entertainment capital world, not just the entertainment capital world, as everyone was saying. Obviously, we still have boxing. We still have great UFC events that come out here. But now we got WNBA, which obviously not too many people still want to talk about it, but they should. We have the Vegas Golden Knights, which have been a powerhouse since day 1, which normally you don't see with an expansion team. For the soccer fans, we have the Lights, semi-pro, professional, whatever you want to call it, but it's still another team here. UNLV's trying to get it right on both ends on football and basketball. You got the Raiders. I mean, there's so much here. The Aviators. I mean, how exciting is it to be a sports media figure here in Las Vegas, especially now knowing that you have it at every corner. You're not going to run out of something to talk about.
Yeah, well, especially for me because I go back to the contrast. I go, when I was here in the 90s, I mean, it was UNLV and that's about it.
Yep.
And you had minor league baseball with the Las Vegas Stars at that point in time, but that was it. And the NBA talked about coming here. And, remember when the Maloofs, bought the Kings,
yeah.
They were talking about, they always wanted to have a team here in Las Vegas. And so I think the NBA is definitely coming, next. I think Major League Baseball is on the horizon as well, too. This could be even bigger than a market like LA, just because of the diversity that you have and the growing population and the facilities. The first thing that pro teams look at is like, okay, what is the population? And the second thing they look at, hotel rooms. I mean,
Correct.
that is big. And that's why, we're getting the Super Bowl. That's why we're going to get, maybe World Cup
Are we
events
getting
down the road.
a Gold Cup or something like that?
We got the Gold Cup.
You get
final.
Gold Cup, World Cup down the,
WrestleMania.
above and beyond. all that.
WrestleMania.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
WrestleMania.
That's right. Yeah. You guys probably don't know about that story with me as well, too. Former promoter with
Macho
that.
Man?
But anyway.
They just came out with a biography on him on the A&E. So
it was very well done.
Yeah.
That and the Roddy Piper one were
the Ultimate
were
Warrior
two
one.
greats.
Yeah, the Ultimate Warrior one. And
See,
then
now
Shawn
you guys are
Michaels.
gonna make me jump on this because that's my era. I stopped watching wrestling after a certain while, but when I was a kid, I grew up with all those guys.
Well, see,
Yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up my wrestling background, but that's okay. We'll do that for another show.
That's awesome. Yeah, let's get him back. I want to hear that because I could talk a little. I mean, I up to high school, I think I talk wrestling. That's it.
So you mentioned the NBA. I'm glad you brought that up. Let's switch into another conversation here. I've been seeing how Mark Davis now owns the Aces with the WNBA. You kind of have that foot in the door now, in my opinion, especially with a owner like Mark Davis. The Raiders, you have facilities like you talked about. Obviously, that's not going to help the NBA team, but the fact that you have that type of owner that has those two type of organizations here, that has to mean something. I think that there's going to be a way that we get an NBA team here before baseball. I agree. Baseball's on the horizon. I think it can definitely happen. But I've been saying it over and over again. I think basketball is going to be here first. They're building that sphere or dome or whatever it is. And then, again, Mark Davis, I sound like a broken record, but his pedigree, who he is, the type of owner that he is, what he's doing with the Aces now. Oh, once a Raider, always a Raider. Once an Ace, always an Ace, even though we're going back to before they were the Aces.
Right.
He's doing that right now throughout the season. So I think that's a good look for us possibly getting an NBA team here in the future. Would you agree?
Totally. It goes back further than that. So remember when the Aces came from San Antonio and the MGM bought them. Okay, basically the word amongst people in the NBA was, okay, this is going to be a testing ground. Let's see how Las Vegas supports a WNBA team. And if they can draw 5, 6, 7,000, this first couple seasons, then that's going to tell us a lot. They brought the All-Star game here in the past.
Yep.
They know every player loves coming here in the offseason. The NBA Summer League has had so much success. They love Las Vegas. So let's see, how they can. We know they support the Summer League. We know they support, the one-offs and those sort of things, All-Star game and all these other things, these big events. But how can they sustain a WNBA season? Even though it's a little bit shorter, you're talking about 17 home games. And so they've already passed the test like that. So when the MGM sold to Mark Davis, like you said, that was such a boom for the Aces because now what you've got is an NFL owner that owns a WNBA team, and he owns it because he loves the product.
Yep.
Not only does he love the team, you've seen him from
Every
day
game.
one,
Every
season
game.
tickets, sitting on the floor, but it goes back when he would love watching the women's college basketball. Going back, years and years and years.
He's jumped on with you at halftime to talk about the games that he's watched.
Absolutely has.
Yep.
And he loves it. And going back to that, when I had him on, he goes, well, what do you want to talk about? Because he was thinking, like, you want to talk Raiders. I go, Mark, what do you want to talk about? He goes, I want to talk about these ladies. I go, that's what we're going to talk about then. He goes, really? Like that. And that's we made the focus on. But yeah, he loves the game. And now what you have is him putting his own money into this new facility that he's building for the Aces. Is going to be fantastic. Practice facility, probably a new arena. Their deal runs out with the Mandalay Bay after this season.
Correct.
So good possibility they could be playing at the new Henderson
Dollar Loan
Arena.
Center, yeah.
Exactly. Or maybe they find another
Yeah, Bill
home or
Foley said he's trying to lure him over there. So
Yeah. So I think that can happen. But, to your point, with Mark Davis being involved, it just puts a stamp on everything. Right now, as you see, we've hosted the WNBA All-Star Game. You have every free agent over the last 2 seasons. They want to come here.
Yeah.
Look at the Aces did with Chelsea Gray and
Yeah.
Raquana Williams. Now, Mark Davis owns the team. Everybody wants to be an Ace.
Yeah.
They want to play for Bill Laimbeer. They want to play for a winner, a champion like him, as a player and as a coach, 3-time coach of the year. And now you've got Mark Davis funneling that money. And because a lot of these WNBA franchises don't have that type of backbone, they don't have the type of financial stability. Well, the Aces had it with the MGM. They have it more so now with Mark Davis because not just the money, but just the association with professional sports.
do you think the Aces win the championship this year? I mean, they went to the finals last year. Call it a wobble, call it an asterisk season, whatever you want to call it. I think it's an exclamation point, like they said on 144 if you saw the film, because I think it was just tougher to play and mentally in that type of environment. But they got to the finals last year, whatever it was. wasn't their time. I think Asia Wilson's only going to get better. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of Cambage because she's very lazy at times, and it's more about her than it actually is about the game. But I think they're going to be all right. A little more consistency from Jackie Young on a nightly basis instead of every other night type of thing or every other game. But I like the addition of Chelsea Gray, like you said. Yeah. I think Chelsea Gray with Angel McCoughtry going down it's the best. I mean, it's the best thing that could have happened to them, meaning that they have her as that backup to take her place.
Yes.
Do you see them winning the chip this year?
I think they could go to the finals. They could win it. Right now, Seattle is a very strong basketball team. They're very, very tough. But with the WNBA, because it's a shorter season, injuries really play a significant,
huge,
element in this thing. You go back to last year. They didn't have Liz Cambage. They didn't have Kelsey Plum. Correct. They didn't have De'Erica Hamby at the end.
In the finals.
The finals. Okay, that was a big deal. And you got to the finals despite that. So... right now you don't have Elena Delle Donne with Washington. Correct. I mean, so they're not as strong. So your teams to beat right now, pretty much are Seattle. People thought that Chicago Sky would be much better because Candace Parker went over there, and then Quigley and Vandersloot. I mean, they've got a great backcourt, but they're struggling. They're going to get better. So to me, the Aces are probably a top 2 or 3 team. I don't like and I'm with Bill Lambier. I mean, he's, here's all the talk. People saying, oh, they're going to win the championship. They're the betting favorites on the board. That's nonsense. He doesn't want to hear that. And I really try to downplay that as well, too, because it's tough to win a championship. But with the talent, if Angel McCoughtry was healthy, I would say 100% they are the favorites. They should win. But Chelsea Gray, she's the key piece. Liz Cambage, if she can, like you said, not take those moments off or whatever and be in her own space in her own head, and Asia will continue to do her thing. But if the Aces stay healthy, yes, they can win the championship. But it's going to come down to what Asia does, Chelsea Gray, and Kelsey Plum as well, because she's healthy now and she's starting to get back into her groove. And you mentioned Jackie Young. I mean, I've been kind of hard on Jackie myself. I question whether she should be the number 1 overall pick. But, man, I will give her credit. She has improved every year. She's improving every game, and she looks very, very solid. Yeah, I think I'm not ready to proclaim the Aces a slam dunk champion.
Definitely.
But the bottom line is, can they be a contender? Definitely. Can they be in the finals? Yes. Do I hope they win? Absolutely. I want to have that parade in Las Vegas, and I want the Aces to be the first team to have a parade in Las Vegas.
Interesting. He's wearing the Vegas Golden Knights.
And I love the Knights too, But
once again, you're tuning in to Straight Bet Sports here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. Jose V, Rob G, Quan 59 in the studio. We are joined by TC Martin, host of the TC Martin Show, and the play-by-play man for the Las Vegas Aces, WNBA team here in Las Vegas. So let's stick to the local scene again. You got the hat on. Let's talk some hockey, fellas. We're here. Golden Knights were 1 win away. Let's say because I'm not part of the organization. I want people to talk about that. But 1 win away after they looked horrible to begin this series.
Yeah.
I mean, you lose, 7-1 in the first match. Second game was a heartbreaker. You should have won it. But then you completely turn it around at home. And then last night was just beautiful.
Yeah.
To be down 2-0, like I told you guys, in-game wagering, if you were going into the third quarter, plus 1,300. I mean, insane. And for them to come back and win the game the way that they won, Peter DeBoer, not the exact words, but he said it in a press conference a couple of days ago. You have guys now that understand, basically. They know how to win these games. They know what it takes. They know what's at stake. And they've said it from the beginning. We're playing against the best team. In their eyes, they've said Colorado's the best team. Colorado has the best player. Well, now you're up 3-2. What do you do to seal it tomorrow night? You're going to be at the game, I'm pretty sure, because you've been going to all the games. What do they have to do to actually close this out?
Just keep doing what they're doing. I mean, plain and simple. You want to talk about in-game wagering? How about in-series wagering? When they're down 2-0, we talked about this on the show last Friday, plus 500, you could get the Knights at that point in time to win the series. And there are people believing, okay, hey, all Colorado did is win their first 2 games at home. Knights just got to do what Colorado did. And that's what you do. Keep you and the team that wins the first game on the away ice, advantage. That happened for the first time last night. I thought Colorado would come out big, and they did. They had that 2-0 lead, like you said. And I knew the Knights would come out big in game 3. Okay, that they had, because if they get down 3-0, this series is over. It's done. And backs against the wall, they showed up big in game 3. I thought Colorado would show up big on their home ice in game 5, and that didn't happen. Now this series is flipped. The Golden Knights have won 3 straight games, And they just need to do what they've been doing. I mean, they play smart, they play fast, stay out of the penalty box. And Marc-Andre Fleury, I mean, he gave up a horrendous goal in the first period last night, but they withstood it. They came back and to take care of business. But what you're getting with Marchessault and Riley Smith.
Hat trick the other night.
Yeah. Marchessault, I mean, and think of that line, with those guys. And William Karlsson, they've scored 7 out of the 11 goals. Think about that. Yeah. So just keep doing what they're doing. I think they'll be fine. But, remember the narrative. I mean, everything can change. Yeah, it's corny. It's a game of inches. All sports are. Hockey definitely is. I mean, how many posts has we seen, hit the post? I mean, 3 in 1 period, a couple games ago, right? So, yeah, it could change just like that. And Colorado had won 13 straight home games before last night. So if Colorado comes in and they're focused and they're not careless with the puck, they could win Game 6 very easily. And then all of a sudden, it's a coin flip going back to Denver in Game 7. So I don't like to get too ahead of ourselves here. The Knights will be a favorite tomorrow. They should take care of.
Check the line.
Yeah, it's minus 140.
Okay.
Yeah,
he's already on. He's already on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is still kind of a bargain, for Golden
Check the
Knights.
total. Check the total.
Yeah.
That's what I do want.
5.5.
Okay. He's already on. Even money, minus 120.
Minus 115 on the open.
So, looking forward to tomorrow night's game. Game 6 going to be huge. T-Mobile Arena, 18,000 screaming fans again.
That's another thing I wanted to ask you. So you went to the game where they allowed basically full capacity, right?
Yeah.
You went to that that match.
Games 3 and 4, yeah.
Talk about how that felt, because you also went to other games where there weren't that many fans before they started to allow people back completely. The fact that we got the fans back has to be huge. I mean, I've gone to a lot of games. I was lucky enough to cover a lot of those games. I've seen those atmosphere. I was there season 1 when they played San Jose. I mean, playoff atmosphere at T-Mobile Arena is nuts. Quan was at the game, last week, I believe. It's insane that the way that those fans act. Like, you would think that we've had hockey here for the last 30 years. Like, it's crazy. How do you expect them to be tomorrow night?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be wild and crazy again in a closeout situation. And remember, the Golden Knights really haven't had, up until this year, they've never been able to close out a series at home until they got a chance to do it against the Minnesota Wild. And that was the first time. So, yeah, it's going to be crazy. And to see the evolution where an empty building, then they let 2,000 fans in, and then 5,000, and then 9,000, okay, 12,000. But the 18 is, and when they had, 12,000 that building, I mean, it was raucous, it was loud. But now, I mean, it's every seat is taken. And you got to remember too, that was the first time that the NHL has had that many fans in an arena this year, because in Canada they have 0 fans.
Okay.
And everywhere else, Colorado is limited to 10,000 fans. That's all they have.
See, I didn't know that. I didn't know any other arena didn't have full capacity.
So Vegas was the only one, the first one, that they allowed that many fans. So that's how special it was, how electric it was. It's like, wow. And again, I mean, we saw it in the NBA too. I mean, look at the Clippers. I mean, they went to Dallas to play in front of 17,000. They're playing in front of cardboard cutouts at the Staples Center.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how, and again, it worked out for the Clippers in that sense, but unfair advantage? Absolutely. 10,500 in Colorado is one thing, but 18,000 in this crazy atmosphere,
Packed house.
it's nuts.
You went to game 2 of the first series, didn't you?
I went to game 2 against the Wild.
Yeah.
Right. That was.
How was that atmosphere? Because it wasn't full capacity.
It was
yet.
so electric. I mean, but seeing what it is now, like, I definitely would want to go to a game when it's full capacity. And I mean, obviously, this is a bigger series. You think they close it out tomorrow?
I think they do close it out tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing would surprise me. I mean, hockey is crazy. You got to remember, okay, so we had the 7-1 game.
Correct.
Which was very expected.
And if you want to lose, I say you lose that way. I'd rather lose that way than lose by one goal at the end.
That was very expected. It was expected because the Knights fought a 7-game, marathon war, and then 2 nights later, you got to go to Colorado and you got to play, and you knew Marc-Andre Fleury was not going to play because he hit all 7 games. Get Robin Lehner in there, and then Colorado was rested, and they just swept the Blues. So
they were buzzsaw at that time.
That was expected. Game 2, it's like, okay, the Knights got to show up, and they showed up, and it probably outplayed Colorado for game 2, but Colorado got the W, so now it's 2-0. But since then, I mean, man, so Colorado had their 7-1 victory. The Golden Knights had their 5-1 victory.
Yeah, we saw that game.
The other 3 games, guys, score was 3-2.
Yeah.
35 seconds changed that series around too. I mean, when we talk about that, they were losing 3-1, right?
Yes.
No,
Yeah, yeah.
2-1. I'm sorry, it was 2-1. I mean, and
Yes.
they come back and score
Yes.
two goals in
goals,
35
yeah.
seconds,
Yeah.
and that literally can determine the series, and that led them to win these. I mean, that started
Would
this
I be
3-game.
surprised if Colorado comes in here with their back against the wall and win tomorrow night?
Of course
No,
not.
wouldn't surprise me. But I think Golden Knights, yeah, I think this is their opportunity. I think they close it out.
I would love to see 7 though.
just for the
Especially this specific
Yeah.
series with so many sweeps
It's
going
true.
on. I mean,
It's
with,
true.
with what Montreal's doing, and then I mean,
The Islanders just closed out the Bruins
Islanders just
tonight.
closed out
yeah.
the Bruins tonight. So I mean, it's I would love to see us, especially with this one. I think this
Canadians too, right? I think they closed out, or are they up 3-1?
No,
no,
they
they're-
swept.
they swept,
Yeah,
but they
swept,
just
they swept.
Winnipeg.
yeah.
Yeah, they're waiting in the
Yeah.
wings. But no, especially considering you can make the argument that these are the two best teams in hockey.
Yeah,
with-
this
with
almost
Vegas
is
and
the Stanley
Colorado.
Cup final.
You know?
In some
Yeah.
people's
Yeah.
opinion, this is the final.
Yeah.
So
It's going to be interesting to see what happens and who's left and who makes it, to be honest with you. And I agree with TC. I would not be surprised if Colorado comes in and takes this game from us. And being seen in Game 7 wouldn't be a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The excitement.
Even though it
But-
wouldn't be here, but it'd still be wild and there'd be some great watch parties.
But I do see Quan shaking his head, so it goes to my next point. It also wouldn't be good to see a Game 7 because another 7-game series, you're exhausted, not
It's
enough
true.
rest. You need some rest. We saw, like you said, what happened
Yeah.
with Marc-Andre Fleury, but hopefully the Golden Knights can pull it off tomorrow night and they get the W and close it out and move on to play Montreal, correct? They play the Canadians
Yes.
next, which our buddy Dwayne, racing sportsbook manager over at Rampart, good friend of ours, he's a
Yes.
huge Habs fan, and he keeps saying, I can't wait. I hope this happens. And he's been dreaming about it, so hopefully it does happen.
the
That'd
game
be
would be Saturday. So that's a lot. That's some money to turn down right there when you talk about just. I'm a
weekend
conspiracy.
Okay, I'm going to say this right.
He's Mr. Unsolved Mystery.
Yeah,
over
I'm
here.
Robert Stack.
I'm going to
My
say
last name
this
is
right
Stack.
now. They need to close it out tomorrow night because I got to be at boxing Saturday night. I got a top-ranked boxing show that I got to be at, so that'd be a tough decision. Stay in front of the TV, Game 7, or be at boxing.
What fight are you going to on Saturday?
Yeah.
So let's
Shakur
move into-
Stevenson.
Shakur Stevenson's
Yeah,
fighting? Okay,
yeah,
where's the
yeah,
fight going to be
exactly.
at?
At the Virgin Hotels.
They're getting a bunch of fights
They're
now,
open.
man.
Oh, they are open,
and speaking of Loma, isn't Loma going to
Loma's
fight there in
coming
a
2
couple
weeks.
weeks? Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
At the
it's-
old the old joint, right?
Yeah, which is now called the Theater. I haven't been
Okay.
inside yet, so this will be my first opportunity. But yeah, Top Rank signed a 4-fight deal
Okay.
with Virgin, and they did
Nice.
one a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so tomorrow night, Shakur Stevenson,
Which was a title fight. It was a
yeah,
big title
correct.
fight a
Yeah,
couple weeks ago. Yeah.
So these are all title fights. Top Rank's doing a fantastic job, always bringing the best bouts here to Las Vegas. And then we're going to get that announcement. You listen to the show tomorrow. We'll get the announcement. Fury Wilder 3.
Oh, here we go. We've had one of the top rank. We had Edgar Berlanga on the show a while
Yeah.
back. We had him on the show last year, I believe. A good young kid. I hope he continues to do his thing as well. We got about 9 minutes here, TC. I want to talk boxing
Yeah.
with you because you are a big boxing guy. You just brought that up as well. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world of boxing right now. Teofimo Lopez, obviously we know what he's doing. Devin Haney just fought Linares. A lot of people say that he was exposed. I disagree. I think we saw a great Jorge Linares that showed that he can still hang in there even with a tough young champ like he did. I don't think he exposed Devin Haney. I just think he showed that Devin Haney is human, meaning you can catch him from time to time. You can't wobble him a bit. He's a boxer. It's going to happen. But what he proved is that he has a chin. And not only that he can adjust to a fighter that's coming and giving him more than he's expecting. Now, people are giving him stuff because he was holding towards the end. Come on. Now, if you saw Mayweather his whole career, he held all the time. So it's nothing new. But we were talking about Floyd and Logan Paul earlier. You're a big boxing guy. Is this boxing in your eyes, and is it hurting the sport of boxing?
It hurts it to a certain degree with the casual fan. It doesn't hurt the loyal, dedicated boxing fan because they know what it is. They know it's a joke. They know it's a money grab. You talk, and I talk to, those iconic guys, the former fighters, the managers, this and that. You talk to guys like Teddy Atlas and Tim Bradley, and they just want nothing to do with it. I'm the same way. I want nothing to do with it because it is a money grab. You got a guy 50-0. Arguably the greatest of all time against a guy 0-1. Well, of course, no athletic commission is going to sanction it.
Yeah.
And people actually thought that they were going to have announce a winner. No, you can't. I mean, you don't sanction it. There's no decision.
Can't even bet on it.
You can't even bet on it. Exactly. And no sportsbook director wanted to touch it, and no sportsbook director wanted to even come on the air and talk about it because it is an embarrassment, especially for a guy like Floyd Mayweather to sink to this level. Now, the Conor McGregor thing, okay, that was a joke as well too, but at least here's a combative fighter against a combative fighter. Okay, different sports. We knew what the outcome was going to be. But this is what Floyd does. Floyd is out for the money grab. Conor McGregor's out for the money grab. So that was semi-acceptable, but we can't have any more of this because it's just, none of these things are entertaining. And people were talking about, it's going to do, 3 million buys. You look at the numbers, I think they barely did 600,000. Okay. Yeah. And who bought that? And who bought that?
Raise his hand. Raise his hand.
Yeah. Well, where's the dunce cap? Where's the dunce cap?
And the thing about it is, most of the people that bought it were the YouTubers. The traditional boxing guys didn't buy it, except for Jose. But that's okay.
And Quan.
Well, no, but wait, Quan, didn't you say that? Well, was it you that said earlier that you had someone's kid or whatever didn't even know who Mayweather was, but knew who Logan Paul was?
And
because
that's
he's a
their
YouTuber.
audience. That's who they're going after.
Well, yeah, they knew who he was, but they didn't know how big he was.
Yeah.
They knew he was a boxer, a former boxer, and then they know Logan Paul.
Gotcha.
Let me put this in perspective. Okay, so this was a Showtime pay-per-view, which was kind of embarrassing. Okay, Al Bernstein, good friend, is on the call for this. All right, and he got roped into doing that Triller thing. Yeah, that nonsense. Okay, so I talked to him, before on my show about this, like, Al, how are you going to handle this? I go, well, luckily we've got, Badu Jax on the card and Jared Hurd's on the card. Yeah. So we're going to have a couple good boxing matches and this, and that. I go, what are you going to do when this main event comes? He goes, it's going to be tough, but it's Floyd and Showtime wants us to do it, right? So they got so much pushback about this that Al didn't do the main event. If you notice that, they went to the comedy side. What they say in Mero, they did the commentary, whatever. So they took kind of the A crew off of the main event, which really is the exhibition, because they started getting so much flack about, hey, how can you guys be promoting this and talking about this and charging people for this? You are Showtime Championship Boxing. And they pulled Al off of the main event from a reputation standpoint.
We didn't realize that because we had the first fights on.
We had the soccer game on too.
There was so much going on Sunday.
Sunday it was a lot.
If you go back, I know. If you go back and you listen to the commentary, and Showtime says, okay, well, we're going to plug our comedy shows or our other shows that we got in there, and that's what we're going to do. And I heard that there were even commercials in there, and this is a pay-per-view, and Showtime's trying to promote all their stuff, and I get that. But it's something that I don't think HBO, if they were still in the game, that they would have done, but Showtime did. And I like the guys at Showtime and everything, but they're going back to that old relationship, with Mayweather and everything. And it's like, okay, let's do this. But I think given another opportunity, Showtime won't do this again.
Put it on YouTube TV, stream it or whatever, right?
I know. I'm surprised YouTube didn't go after that, especially if you got Paul.
Their app didn't work anyway, so
Showtime did. That didn't work. Yeah. So we're coming to the end here, man. If you guys enjoyed the show, we greatly appreciate you guys again. Straight Bet Sports here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. If you haven't downloaded the app, please do so. Go to your Apple Play Store, Google Play Store, Gorilla Cross Radio. Download it. You will not be disappointed. Anything else that you want to check out when it comes to us and the show, check out my YouTube page, Straight Bet Sports on YouTube. You can check out all of the interviews, any shows that we do, even any of the games that I go to, whether it's the Lights, the Aces, when I do interviews, the Zoom calls, all that. We put all that content out there, so go ahead and enjoy that as well. TC, greatly appreciate you coming on tonight, my man. Let everyone know where they can find you and everything that you got going on in the world of sports and everything else.
Like I said, everything is tcmartinshow.com. Go check it out. The show is streamed live, or you go into the podcast section and miss the show. It's Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific. All the information is there. And Las Vegas Aces, the play-by-play there, AM 1100, ESPN Radio here in Las Vegas. But check everything out, tcmartinshow.com. What I want to say is I want to give props to you, my man, because I've seen you grow in this business. I'm always there for you. I appreciate you. You've always had my back. I've got your back. And whatever help you need from going forward, you got me. And I appreciate everything you're doing. Quan, you guys do a fantastic job with this Gorilla Cross Radio. So props to you guys. Keep pushing, my man. Keep plugging. Keep your head up. Doing what you're doing, man. And I love you for it.
Hey, appreciate those kind words, TC. I learn from you as much as I can from a distance when I'm with you, when we conversate. Like you said, the doctor, exactly. You've always had my back since I met you, and I greatly appreciate you, man. And the friendship is mutual. We're going to be there always. This isn't the last time we're going to have you on the show.
Anytime.
I know we talked about this during UNLV basketball season, and until now, we barely made it happen. But
we have a wrestling episode.
I know, right? Talking to wrestling. But TC, thank you so much, man. We greatly appreciate you coming on. Rob, any final words before we get going tonight?
No, we have to have a wrestling episode.
I don't know if Quan's going to be a part of that.
There we go.
But,
all right.
But yeah, man, good stuff. Fun times here. But Quan, thank you for everything that you do as well behind the big board. Episode 61, season 3. We're still going. You can catch everything that we do, YouTube, Apple, Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts. Everything is out there. So I was going through quotes and things that I wanted to say for my final quote of the evening, because I know Rob loves my final quotes, as we do every single night. So I thought about it, and I kept going through a bunch of them, and I came across this one, and this one really, it was good. So if I asked you to give me a list of how many people make you happy, how many names would you give me before you tell me yours? Till then, I am Jose V. This has been another episode of Straight Bet Sports here on the Gorilla Cross Radio Network. Till next Wednesday, we are out. Peace.
See ya.